Strokes can happen to anyone at any age, and prostate cancer is in the spotlight with former President Joe Biden's diagnosis. With that and more, Dr. Frita Fisher's here with your health headlines. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
So let's dive right in. Let's start with that presidential diagnosis. Which stage are we talking about here?
We're talking about stage 4 because his cancer has already spread to the bones. And he has prostate cancer, a very aggressive form, one of the most aggressive forms. And, unfortunately, by the time they shared it, it had already spread. The good news for President Biden is that his is hormone sensitive, meaning that there is hormone therapy that can slow down the progression of his cancer.
Now, let's talk about symptoms, because that's always important to really stay aware of.
The tricky thing about prostate cancer, Caitlin, is that early on, there are no symptoms. That's why it's important to be screened for early detection. By the time you do get symptoms, you may have decreased urinary output, decreased force in your urine stream, urine incontinence, blood in the urine. Men might have erectile dysfunction, back pain, bone pain. But you really want to try to detect it before it gets to that point. And that's with the screening that's recommended by the American Cancer Society.
Is there an age that you should start those screenings?
Absolutely. Men of average risk should start screening by the age of 50. If you have high risk, you should start getting screened or have the discussion about getting screened by the age of 45. And spoiler alert, all black men are considered to be at least at high risk because black men are 70% more likely to get diagnosed with prostate cancer when compared to men of other ethnic groups, and we really don't know why. Also, you're considered to be at high risk if you have at least one first-degree relative, meaning a father or a brother, who's been diagnosed at a young age, younger than 65, and you are at very high risk. And if you have very high risk, it's recommended that you get screened or you discuss screening by the age of 40. Very high risk means that you have more than one relative, first-degree relative, diagnosed younger than the age of 65. So the screening is key.
Which is why doctors always ask about, family history. Let's talk about strokes. And this was very alarming when I saw your email. Younger and younger. Why the spike in younger folks with strokes?
Oh my gosh. A study was shown that adults younger than the age of 45 have had an increase by 15% in the amount of strokes in just over a decade. And the risk factors with these young people include living with obesity, having a sedentary lifestyle, the increase in diabetes and high blood pressure among young people. The high blood pressure is really a big deal because studies show that if you can control high blood pressure, it could decrease the rate of strokes by up to 50%.
Wow. Okay, so there are two types of strokes. Can you tell us about that?
There's the ischemic stroke, which is when there is a blockage of blood flow to the brain. And then there's a hemorrhagic stroke where you have excess bleeding, usually related to high blood pressure. Ischemic strokes are most common. They occur about 80% of the time. And the most important thing is to recognize the warning signs of strokes. And the mnemonic that we use is be fast. B, if you have balance problems. E, for eye difficulty like blurry vision. F, for facial weakness or facial drooping. A, arm or leg weakness. S, slurred speech. If you have these symptoms, it's time to call 911 because time is very important. Every 1 minute that a stroke is going on, you lose 2 billion brain cells or neurons. So it's important to watch out for the symptoms and don't make excuses for them. Don't say, oh, maybe I slept funny or maybe I worked out too hard. No, if you have any of these be fast symptoms, be proactive, call 911.
All right, finally, Dr. Frita, a lot of people are going to be maybe grilling out this weekend for the unofficial start of summer. What are some healthy hacks to kind of keep those indulgences in check?
Caitlin, the food is going to be good. Folks are going to be drinking, partying. So you got to go in with the game plan. First things first, when you get to the barbecue with all of that wonderful food, fill your plate with fruits and vegetables first. This will give you your vitamins, your antioxidants, your fiber, and very importantly, it will fill you up so you don't have as much room for all of the sweet, savory, salty foods. Also, you want to stay hydrated. This is a kickoff of summer. It's hot, especially here with us in hot Atlanta. So you want to make sure you drink enough water and consult with your doctor because how much water you drink will vary. But 2 to 3 liters or half of your ideal body weight in pounds, you can drink that in ounces of water. And especially if you're indulging in spirits, if you're having beer by the barbecue, a little margarita, having alcohol will make you use the restroom more, right? It'll make you urinate more because alcohol inhibits your antidiuretic hormone. At any rate, you want to make sure you stay especially well hydrated if you are partaking in spirits. And then with socialization, we like to talk and we like to laugh.
Sure.
But don't do it by the dessert table.
Why not?
No, because you're just going to, you know what, Caitlin? You just reach down and get your cake and don't do it by the macaroni and cheese. Socialize away from the ultra-processed foods, away from the unhealthy foods, and then portion control. Please don't grab that big 10-inch plate. Get a little tiny saucer if you want. Yes, if you want to indulge in some sweets. And most importantly, don't beat yourself up. If you overindulge, if you do a little bit too much, don't stress yourself out because stress in and of itself can be bad for your health. Stress increases those stress hormones like cortisol, adrenaline. Those cause your blood vessels to tighten. They increase blood pressure. They can increase your risk for heart disease. So don't stress because that will defeat your healthy journey. But have fun, and hey, Tuesday's a new day. Do your best on Monday, though, for Memorial Day to be healthy.
You can quote me on this. My diet starts tomorrow. That's every day of the week. And you can keep up with Dr. Frita on social media by searching her name on all platforms. And you can also head to our website, drfrita.com. Always great to see you. We'll be back after this.